Ah, the holiday season. It's supposed to be all about joy and connection, but let's be real. For our bank accounts, it can be the most stressful time of the entire year. So why does the season of giving so often turn into the season of overspending? It's a weird paradox, isn't it? We spend the whole year looking forward to this time, but then January rolls around, and bam, a massive dose of financial regret hits. This is not a coincidence. The big question we're tackling is, why does this cycle of joy and debt happen so consistently, year after year?
And yeah, that's what we call the holiday spending paradox. It feels super personal, right? Like it's our own failure of discipline, but the truth is, it's so much bigger than that. This isn't just about you. It's about a system that's pretty much perfectly designed to tap into our deepest human vulnerabilities.
So here's the thing. You can have the most detailed, color-coded budget in the world, but it really doesn't stand a chance if you don't get the powerful forces working against it. We're talking about deep-seated psychological triggers, huge social pressures, and the cultural stories we've been told our entire lives. Let's dive into the big one first.
Think about it. Every culture has these unwritten rules, right? And during the holidays, those rules create what you could call a spending script. It's like this external pressure cooker that dictates what a proper holiday is supposed to look like, and, you guessed it, that script has been heavily monetized.
Just take a look at this list. These things feel totally normal, don't they? But somewhere along the way, they shifted from just being nice activities to being expectations. The script tells us we have to show our love and prove our success with expensive gifts, perfect meals, and these perfectly curated experiences. And look, none of these are bad on their own, but the trouble starts when they become the only way to measure a good holiday.
And this gets to the really dangerous message we're being sold underneath it all. It's this unspoken belief that our spending is directly tied to how much we love and care about people. So if you don't follow this script, you risk feeling like you're failing, or even worse, that you just don't care enough. And then, of course, you've got social media, which just throws gasoline on this entire fire. Our feeds become this endless highlight reel of curated perfection. You know what I'm talking about. The perfectly decorated homes, the mountains of gifts under the tree, the matching family pajamas, and even though we know it's not the whole story, our brains are literally wired for comparison. Seeing this constant stream of ideal holidays creates this intense pressure to keep up.
And all that pressure to keep up? Well, it leads directly to this key concept: performative spending. This is when we're buying things not really for our own joy, but to send a message. We're spending to signal to everyone else, hey, look, I'm doing well. I'm a good parent. I belong. It's basically a performance, and it's designed to avoid that feeling of shame for not measuring up.
Okay, so that's all the pressure coming from the outside. But what about what's going on inside our own heads? Because beyond society's script, the holidays can be, well, emotionally complicated. And we often use our wallets to cope with that stress. Just take a look at how this plays out. Maybe you're feeling lonely, so you buy these extravagant gifts to feel more connected to people. Or if there's a lot of family tension, you pour money into planning the perfect event to distract from it all. Spending gives us this temporary hit of dopamine, a short-term feeling of control or comfort. It's basically a form of emotional regulation. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. While that emotional relief is temporary, the financial consequences are not. That debt we rack up, it becomes the real, long-lasting emotional bill. It's the price we pay for using money to patch over feelings we haven't actually dealt with.
All right, let's go one level deeper, because so many of our financial habits are driven by beliefs we formed when we were just kids. These are our money scripts, the unconscious rules about money that are running our lives without us even realizing it.
These scripts can sound a little something like this. Good parents make the holidays magical, no matter what it costs. Or maybe, if I'm struggling with money during the holidays, it means I've failed. These are incredibly powerful. When you believe that creating magic is your job, you're not just buying a gift, you're defending your identity as a good parent. When you believe saying no is selfish, you're not just setting a boundary, you feel like you're a bad person.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. As the source material puts it so perfectly, you cannot out-budget a belief that tells you your worth is measured in spending. Think about that. You can track every single penny, but if your deep underlying belief system equates spending with your value as a person, you will always find a way to overspend. Real, lasting change has to start here, by looking at these beliefs.
So after all that, how on earth do we get out of this loop? Well, it's not about restriction or depriving yourself. It's about moving from that unconscious reaction to making a conscious choice. It's about taking back your agency.
First, let's look at the cycle we're actually trying to break.
See, this is the trap. This is the cycle that keeps so many of us stuck. First, all that social and emotional pressure builds up. Then we respond by overspending, to cope with it, to fit in. We get that brief moment of joy or relief. And then January hits, and we're left with the stress, the guilt, and the debt, which just sets us up for the exact same emotional triggers next year.
So, breaking this cycle, it all starts with awareness. First, by redefining what the season actually means to you, away from all the noise. Next, it's about understanding your personal emotional triggers. It's also about separating the true act of generosity from a price tag. And finally, consciously choosing traditions that bring you joy, instead of just repeating what's always been done.
And really, that's what this all boils down to. The goal isn't to have a cheap holiday. It's to have an intentional one. When you finally align your spending with your actual values, you gain so much more than just financial stability. You get clarity, freedom, and a holiday season that truly, finally feels like your own.